So in this video, I'm going to talk a little bit more about all sorts of medicinal plants that you can use not just to juice, but also you can use it in salads, you can use it in omelets, you can use it really in whatever way you want, because really your imagination is the limit here. So we've got here common birdsfoot trefoil. Let's just zoom in on this. It's actually quite an easy to recognize plant. Oh, here we go. This just showed up recently, which is why I didn't feature in the last video. And really, again, obviously you can use the flowers, you can use the leaves, and you can use the stalks. So again, you can juice the leaves and the stalks, but you can use your flowers, those little flowers, in salads, and they kind of taste a little bit like some people even say almond. I don't pick up particularly strong almond tastes in them, but maybe that kind of lentil-y sort of flavor, if you like. And if you actually make it into a tea, because one other thing that you can do is to collect some of those plants and brew them fresh. So you can obviously dry them, you can make them, you can sort of save them for the winter, make your tea out of dry material, but you can also make it out of the fresh material here. And when you use it in that way, it has a calming effect, and it also has an effect that is just sort of like a relaxant sort of property. So let's say somebody's got some menstrual cramps or something like that, that is something that they could use, or just generally in states of anxiety. That is a nice one to add to your fresh tea. And of course, when it comes to making tea out of fresh produce, of course, elderflower, fantastic, beautiful flavor, particularly with, apart from the fact that it just tastes nice, it's often used as an anti-pathogenic agent. So obviously it's got antioxidants, it's got all sorts of, again, phytonutrients in it, but it is used in infections as well. Here is a plant I talked about previously, because we were looking at the leaf, right? So we've got two types of this plant, I already explained, but here I just wanted to say that now that it's starting to flower, and the flowers look like this. Let's see if we can zoom in on this sort of little stalk. So it kind of goes, so this is the one of the Plantago, so the stalk is sort of tall, and then it's got this thing on the end of it, right here, and you can pick those and you can eat them, and they taste sort of mushroomy. So you can sometimes, maybe if you want something different in your omelette, you may want to try that, add that to your omelette, and see if you can give it a bit of a mushroomy taste. And also, what I wanted to mention in this video is that sometimes you treat certain plants as weeds, and you just pull them out because you've got your carrots or your beetroots or whatever else growing, and you don't want them getting in the way. However, you need to be aware that a lot of those plants that people discard as weeds are obviously also medicinal. And here I've got two examples. So this right here is, well, this was meant to be my bed of spinach. Okay, so this is spinach, and this is all great. There is still spinach in there, but the whole box has been, as you can see, overtaken slightly by other plants. But not to worry, because I'm gonna pick them and juice them. So here, let me just zoom in on this plant here. This plant is commonly known as a shaggy soldier or Peruvian daisy. Now, what's interesting about it, it's obviously, as I said, pretty much treated as a weed. And actually, before I studied phytotherapy and medicinal properties of common plants, I would also pull it out and throw it away, right? So I didn't want it, quote unquote, polluting my vegetable patch, right? However, this plant is really quite awesome because it's got a lot of minerals. It's got potassium, it's got magnesium, calcium, iron, it's got vitamin A and C, and it's got a lot of manganese. And as you may know, manganese is very, very important for many, many enzymes, like for instance, superoxide dismutase. A lot of enzymes actually have manganese as sort of part of them, a cofactor in them. So that's very actually nutritious, you could say, nutritious plant. And in phytotherapy, it actually is used when people have people with cancer who suffer with pain. That's what it's used for. And also in homeopathy, it's used for all sorts of flu-like infections. So it's really is an awesome plant. And yeah, I'm no longer so upset when it actually overtakes my spinach patch, because actually in a lot of ways it matches the nutritional properties of spinach, if not exceeds them. And here, another one of those weeds, so-called, that has overtaken my spinach bed is actually called common spinach or goosefoot. Okay, I'm not sure how well you can actually see that. Maybe I can, this is my broccoli bed, and again, this has slightly overtaken it. So that's basically this plant. And again, it's a very interesting plant. So just like what I was talking about previously, about the fact that you can juice them, you can use them literally as a replacement for lettuce or spinach, and you can also just chop them up and brew them as tea. And so similarly, you can definitely do that with these plants over here, right? With these plants over here. So that's why I'm not getting too upset about them completely taking over here, because this particular one, the wild spinach one, so this one here, this one is anti-inflammatory, and also it is slightly you can loosen your stools if you have too much, but basically it is anti-inflammatory, and it also contains natural phytoestrogens, so can be helpful when dealing with perimenopause, menopause. And so it does have very interesting properties, and it's also a plant that is full of vitamin C. In fact, it's got 7 times, I think, more vitamin C than just your regular lettuce. So that's what I said before. Okay, so I'm trying to grow spinach here. Spinach is this tiny, and these ones are obviously a lot bigger, right? But when you study the properties and the nutritional value of these medicinal plants, you find that they tend to exceed the value of usually, not always, but sometimes they do exceed the value of what it is that you're actually growing. So again, And this one also has obviously a lot of potassium, but also zinc, phosphorus. It has obviously iron, and like I said, lots of vitamin C, also vitamin B3. So very, very useful also to throw that in your juice. And one thing that I wanted to comment on, somebody asked me about this after the last video. They basically wrote to me and said, well, is it really worth it? Because I was talking about starting with small amounts when you first begin to juice medicinal plants, or use more, or maybe you do put them in your smoothies or whatever else you're doing. You do need to consider that obviously they can cause those detox reactions, etc. So you do have to get used to consuming these things. And so you start with a small amount, particularly if you have a lot of toxicity that you're dealing with, and then you build it up. And maybe if you're mixing, which I often do, if you're mixing medicinal plants with also things like carrots, I was showing you before that if I'm juicing radish, I'm juicing the radish together with the leaf, I'm juicing the carrot together with the leaf, beetroot the same. So if I mix the medicinal plants with the other material, something like what I just said, then maybe I want to add a few celery sticks, things like that. Then of course you kind of perhaps you can afford to start with a larger amount. But in either case, if you green juicing, you do need to consider that it is best to start slowly. And so the question this person was asking me was, is it really worth it? Is it worth it for the sake of 50 or 100 ml of juice to even bother? Well, if you understand the power of these plants and the how concentrated they are, particularly if you're using something like a slow juicer, you absolutely you have the concentrate, that the amount of the different compounds, active compounds that you have in there, it's basically as using essential oils versus something like just regular sort of herbal extract. You have a concentration of a much higher magnitude. So less is more. It's not that when it comes to juicing more and more is more, because that's certainly not the case. So we have to be mindful of that. And is it worth it? Of course it's worth it. You can target things so specifically. When you understand the different properties, you can combine things together. And quite honestly, nature has already given us pretty much everything we need with regards, healing different ailments. Obviously, I'm of an opinion that you have to combine different modalities, but we have so much in nature. And is it worth it? If you ask me if it's worth it, I'd say it's definitely worth it. Even by drinking 50 to 100 ml of green juice a day, you will have a highly, highly detoxifying effect on your system. You will rejuvenate your cells. You will have anti-aging effect. You have so many different benefits. And really, like I said, in this case, less is more. It's not that more is more. So absolutely, I cannot even begin to describe how much difference that has made to my energy levels to be doing this every day. And so, not to mention, obviously, the fact that I don't have to go and buy my greens. That's obviously something that a lot of people really appreciate these days, not having to spend a lot of money on organic greens, right? So just to end, I want to show you one more so-called weed that got into my spinach bed. So here is little dead nettle. Okay, so that's not it, that's the spinach. Here it is, dead nettle. Okay, yeah, so that's also found its way into my spinach bed. And so this one is a wonderful little plant as well. Anti-inflammatory, antibacterial. It protects mucous membranes. What you're hearing in the background is the rain. We're finally having some rain. We really need some rain, to be honest. So yeah, so that may be what you're hearing in the background. And so this little plant is fantastic. Again, lots of micro minerals, vitamins in it as well. But yeah, so yeah, and it's good for the digestive complaints also. So yeah, that's a little dead nettle. So yeah, so all these so-called weeds, and now I'm gonna pick them and juice them, and otherwise they would end up on the compost bin, but there's no need for that because I can definitely benefit from that. Look at this specimen here, isn't it beautiful? So yeah, that's what I wanted to share in this video. Oh, here comes the rain again. And so I'll probably come back with more of these videos through the year. I will record if I see different plants that maybe I come across on my walks or something like that, or you know, as they come through the year, I will be catching them and making little videos like this. Because there's so much we can utilize. And even if you don't live where I live, even if you don't live in the Northern Hemisphere, just I hope that you are getting inspired and you're going to look into what you can find in your area, because equally there's going to be so much wherever you are. And you just need to, rather than look at everything as just a blob of green when you go for your walks, I just start sort of picking out those little individual plants. Get yourself those apps that can help you identify and see what you can do with what's around you, because we've got such beautiful gifts from nature all around us. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and until next time.